My name is Andrea Thornton, and I'm going to tell you about my wedding day. The day I was supposed to marry the love of my life. The day that started with me in a white dress and ended with my fiancé in handcuffs. The day a drunk best man's joke revealed that the man I was about to marry already had a wife and child in another state. Let me take you back to the beginning, because you need to understand how someone can be engaged to a man for 2 years and have no idea he's living a complete double life. I met Ethan Walsh 4 years ago at a marketing conference in Chicago. I was 30 years old, working as a senior marketing consultant for a tech firm. He was charming, funny, attentive in a way that felt genuine. We talked for hours at the hotel bar after the keynote speeches, exchanged numbers, and started what I thought was a normal long-distance relationship. Ethan lived in Atlanta, working in commercial real estate. I was based in Boston. The distance wasn't ideal, but we made it work. Weekend visits, constant texts, video calls every night. He'd fly to Boston twice a month. I'd go to Atlanta when I could. It felt real, felt solid. After a year of dating, I brought up the idea of one of us relocating. "I've been thinking about that too," Ethan said. "My lease is up in 3 months. What if I move to Boston? There's plenty of real estate opportunities there, and honestly, I'm ready to be in the same city as you." He moved to Boston, got an apartment in the North End, close to my place in Beacon Hill, started working for a commercial real estate firm downtown. We fell into an easy rhythm. Dinners together, weekends exploring the city, holidays with my family. Everything felt perfect. Looking back now, there were signs, small things I dismissed because I trusted him completely. He was weirdly protective of his phone, would take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. If it buzzed while we were together, he'd glance at it and say it was work, always work. I thought he was just dedicated to his job. He traveled a lot. Real estate conferences, client meetings in other cities, site visits that required overnight stays. Sometimes he'd be gone for 4 or 5 days at a time. I never questioned it because that's what his job required, or so he said. He had almost no social media presence. No Facebook, no Instagram, barely used LinkedIn. When I asked about it, he said he valued his privacy, didn't like putting his life online. I actually found it refreshing compared to guys who lived on their phones. He never wanted me to visit him at his apartment unannounced, always insisted we plan things in advance, said he was a neat freak and hated when people saw his place messy. I thought it was endearing, this grown man worried about his apartment being tidy. His family was complicated. That's how he always described it. His parents were divorced, he didn't talk to his father, his mother lived in California, and they weren't close. No siblings. When I suggested meeting his mom, he'd say she was difficult, that he'd rather keep that part of his life separate. I didn't push it. Some families are genuinely dysfunctional. 2 years into our relationship, Ethan proposed. We were at a restaurant overlooking Boston Harbor, beautiful ring, down on one knee, the whole romantic setup. I said yes, without hesitation. He was everything I'd been looking for. Stable, successful, loving, ready to build a life together. We started planning the wedding immediately. Decided on a venue outside Boston, a beautiful estate with gardens and a ballroom, guest list of 200. My family, friends, coworkers, and Ethan's small circle. He said most of his friends were scattered across the country, but his best man Marcus and a few college buddies would definitely be there. Marcus was someone Ethan talked about often. They'd been roommates in college, stayed close over the years. I'd met him once, briefly, when he visited Boston for a weekend. He seemed nice enough, outgoing, funny, a little rough around the edges, but loyal to Ethan. Ethan trusted him completely, hence the best man role. The wedding planning was mostly smooth. The only strange part was how little involvement Ethan wanted. I'd ask his opinion on flowers or music or the menu, and he'd say, "Whatever you want, babe. I trust your judgment." At first, I thought he was being sweet, letting me have my dream wedding. Now, I wonder if he just couldn't bring himself to care about a ceremony that was based on a complete lie. My wedding days started perfectly. Beautiful September morning, clear sky, perfect temperature. I got ready with my bridesmaids at the venue, everyone laughing and drinking champagne and helping me into my dress. My mom cried when she saw me. My best friend Sarah kept saying I looked like a princess. I felt like one. The ceremony was set for 4 o'clock. Guests started arriving around 3. I stayed hidden in the bridal suite, following tradition. Ethan wasn't supposed to see me before I walked down the aisle. My dad came to get me at 3:45, told me how proud he was, how happy he was that I'd found someone like Ethan. We were supposed to do a first look before the ceremony, just Ethan and me, private moment with the photographer. But Ethan texted saying he wanted to skip it, wanted the first time he saw me was when I walked down the aisle, said more traditional, more meaningful. I agreed, even though I'd been looking forward to that moment. But it was fine. It was his day too. The ceremony was starting. I could hear the music beginning, hear the officiant welcoming everyone. My bridesmaids lined up, started their walk down the aisle. My dad squeezed my hand. Ready, sweetheart? So ready. We stood at the entrance to the garden where the ceremony was being held. I could see Ethan at the altar, see 200 people turning to look at me. The music swelled. My dad and I started walking. Everything felt surreal, like I was floating. I saw Ethan's face as I got closer. He looked nervous, emotional. Was that tears in his eyes? I felt my own eyes getting wet. This was it. This was the moment my life changed forever. We reached the altar. My dad kissed my cheek, shook Ethan's hand, placed my hand in Ethan's. The officiant smiled at us. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. That's when we were supposed to start. Ceremony, vows, rings, kiss, married. The timeline was precise. Ceremony at 4, cocktail hour at 4:30, reception at 5:30. Everything planned to the minute. But first, we had the cocktail hour. Our wedding planner had suggested we do cocktail hour first, let guests mingle and relax, then move into the ceremony. It was a little unconventional, but we liked the idea of everyone being relaxed and comfortable before the serious part. So at 3:30, cocktail hour began. Open bar, past appetizers, jazz trio playing, guests mingling in the garden. Ethan and I made the rounds separately. I stayed with my bridesmaids, he was with his groomsmen. I kept catching glimpses of him across the garden, laughing with Marcus and his college friends, looking happy and relaxed. The bar was flowing freely. By 4 o'clock, some guests were definitely tipsy. I could hear louder laughter, see people getting more animated. Marcus in particular seemed to be hitting the drinks hard. I saw him at the bar doing shots with Ethan's other groomsmen. At 4:15, our wedding planner came to find me. Andrea, we need to start gathering people for the ceremony. Can you help round up your side? I started moving through the crowd, gently directing people towards the ceremony space. That's when I heard Marcus's voice, loud and slurred from across the garden. Speech time, I want to make a speech. I turned to see him standing on one of the decorative benches, wobbling slightly, holding a champagne flute. One of the other groomsmen was trying to pull him down. Dude, speeches are at the reception, not now. No, I got a great speech right now about my best friend Ethan, my buddy, my pal, who's getting married. Again. That word hung in the air. Again. My stomach dropped. What did he mean, again? Ethan's face went white. Marcus, shut up, Marcus, get down now. But Marcus was too drunk to read the room. He kept going, thinking he was being funny. And let's hope this marriage goes better than... Wait, no, we're not supposed to talk about Tampa. Forget Tampa. Tampa doesn't exist. The other family doesn't exist. Everything stopped. The garden went silent except for the jazz trio who didn't realize they should stop playing. I walked towards them slowly. What did you just say? Marcus blinked at me, swaying on the bench. Huh? You said the other family. What other family? Ethan was grabbing Marcus's arm, trying to pull him down. Can we talk about this privately? Not here, not now? No, right here, right now. I yanked arm free. Marcus, what family in Tampa? Marcus looked between us, finally realizing he'd screwed up. I think I need to sit down. What family in Tampa? I was yelling now. Didn't care. 200 people were staring. The jazz trio had stopped playing. Ethan's face had gone from white to red. "Andrea, please, let's go inside and talk." "No. Do you have a family in Tampa?" My voice cracked. "Do you have another wife? Other children? Is that what he's talking about?" The silence was deafening. Ethan just stood there, mouth opening and closing, no words coming out. That was answer enough. My knees felt weak. I steadied myself against a nearby chair. "Oh my God! Oh my God, you're married! You're already married!" "It's complicated," Ethan started. "How is being married complicated?" I was screaming now. My maid of honor, Sarah, was suddenly beside me, arm around my waist, holding me up. "Andrea, I was going to tell you." "When? After we got married? After you committed bigamy?" My mom pushed through the crowd. "What is happening? Andrea, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak, just pointed at Ethan, then at Marcus, who was now sitting on the bench with his head in his hands. Sarah spoke for me. "Apparently, the groom already has a wife, in Tampa." The gasps from the crowd were audible. My mother's face went pale. My father started moving toward Ethan with an expression I'd never seen before. "Is this true?" my dad demanded. "Do you have another wife?" Ethan held up his hands. "It's not what you think. We're separated, legally separated. It's been over for years." "Then why isn't it finalized?" I found my voice again. "Why are you still married?" "The paperwork is complicated. There's custody issues with our son." "Your son?" I felt like I might throw up. "You have a son?" "He's 4. His name is Jake, but I barely see him. His mother and I have been done for 6 years." 6 years? The math hit me. "We've been together for 4 years. You've been married the entire time? This whole relationship has been you cheating on your actual wife?" "It's not cheating if the marriage is over." "You're still legally married." I was shaking. "You were about to marry me while married to someone else. That's a crime. That's bigamy." Someone in the crowd, one of Ethan's friends, spoke up quietly. "Ethan, man, you said you finalized the divorce last year." So he'd lied to everyone, not just me. His friends thought he was divorced. They had no idea. My mind was racing. "Where do you go when you travel for work? Tampa?" Ethan didn't answer, didn't need to. "Oh my God, you've been going back and forth, living 2 lives. Do they know about me? Your wife and son, do they know you're here?" "Ex-wife," he said weakly. "She's not your ex if you're still married," Sarah yelled. I looked at Marcus, who was still sitting on the bench looking sick. "How long have you known?" "Since college. He married young, right after graduation. It was a mistake. They were too young. It fell apart fast." "But not fast enough to actually get divorced before starting a relationship with me?" I turned back to Ethan. "What was the plan here? Marry me illegally? Hope nobody noticed you were committing a felony?" "I was going to finalize it, I swear. The paperwork were in process." "Stop lying!" I was crying now, mascara probably running, not caring. "Just stop lying! Is anything about you real? Your name? Your job? Do you even live in Boston? Or is that apartment just a part-time place for when you're pretending to be single?" "I do live there. I split my time between 2 families, 2 lives, 2 women who thought they were the only one." My wedding planner appeared at my elbow. "Andrea, honey, what do you want to do? Should I make an announcement? Cancel the ceremony?" Cancel. The word felt surreal. Cancel my wedding? The wedding I'd been planning for a year. The marriage to a man who was already married. I looked at the crowd. 200 people, all dressed up, all having just witnessed the most spectacular disaster. My family looked horrified. Ethan's few friends looked shocked. The vendors were hovering uncertainly. Then I had a thought. A wild, probably terrible thought, but I was in a white dress in front of 200 people who just heard that my fiancé was a bigamist and I'd lost the ability to make reasonable decisions. "Give me your phone," I said to Ethan. "What? Your phone. Give it to me, now." "Andrea, I don't think—" "Give me your phone or I swear to God." He handed it over. His hands were shaking. I opened it, no password, he'd unlocked it to give to me, went straight to his recent calls, scrolled through names I didn't recognize until I found one that appeared frequently, Nicole Walsh with a Tampa area code. Had to be her, the wife. I looked at Ethan. "Is this her, Nicole?" He nodded, looking like he might be sick. I hit call, put it on speaker, held the phone up. It rang 4 times, then a woman's voice answered. "Ethan? What's wrong? You never called during your work trips." Work trips, that's what he called being in Boston. Work trips. "Hi, Nicole. This isn't Ethan. My name's Andrea. I'm his fiancée, or I was. We were supposed to get married in about 10 minutes. Silence on the other end. Then, "What?" "I just found out Ethan has been living a double life, told me he was single, moved to Boston, proposed to me, and apparently forgot to mention he already has a wife. That's you, right? You're his wife?" Yes, we're married. We have a son, but Ethan's job requires him to travel. He works in commercial real estate. He's gone a lot, but he doesn't just work in Boston, Nicole. He lives here, has an apartment, has been in a relationship with me for 4 years, proposed 2 years ago. We're standing in front of 200 wedding guests right now." I could hear her breathing on the other end, fast and sharp. "That's not possible. He comes home every week. He's gone for work, but he always comes home." "How often is he home?" "About half the time, sometimes a little less. His job is demanding, there's a lot of travel." "There's no extra travel. He's here, with me. We live together half the time." A longer silence, then Nicole's voice, shaking. "Put him on the phone, right now." I held the phone toward Ethan. "Your wife wants to talk to you." He took the phone with a trembling hand, took it off speaker, walked a few steps away. We could hear his voice, low and urgent, but not the words. The conversation lasted maybe 2 minutes. Then he came back, face pale, and handed me the phone. "She wants to talk to you again." I took the phone, put it back on speaker. "Nicole?" Her voice was harder now, angry. "How long have you been with my husband?" 4 years. I met him at a conference. He told me he was single, based in Atlanta, then moved to Boston to be with me. I had no idea you existed until 5 minutes ago. And you were going to marry him today? That was the plan, until his drunk best man mentioned the other family in Tampa. Nicole let out a bitter laugh. "The other family? Jesus Christ! I'm the other family. I'm his actual wife, and I'm the other family?" "I'm so sorry," I said, and meant it. "I know this isn't your fault. He lied to both of us." "Where is he right now?" "Standing right here, in front of 200 wedding guests who just heard everything." "Good. Let them hear this too." Nicole's voice got louder, clearer. She was talking to the crowd now. "My name is Nicole Walsh. I've been married to Ethan Walsh for 7 years. We have a 4-year-old son named Jake. My husband told me he worked in commercial real estate requiring constant travel. I had no idea he had an entire second life in Boston. No idea he was engaged. No idea he was about to commit bigamy. Andrea, I am so sorry he did this to you." I was crying again. "I'm sorry he did this to you and to your son." "Our son. God, Jake, how do I explain this to Jake?" Her voice cracked. "Andrea, are there police there?" "Police? No, why would—" "Oh." Because what he was about to do is illegal. Bigamy is a crime, and I'm furious enough that I want to press charges. I looked at my dad, who'd been standing nearby through all of this. Dad, can you call the police? He already had his phone out. On it. The next 20 minutes were chaos. My dad called 911, explained the situation. Some guests started leaving, uncomfortable with the drama. Others stayed, morbidly fascinated. My bridesmaids surrounded me, a protective wall. Ethan's friends, the few who'd come, were backing away from him, clearly wanting no part of this disaster. Ethan tried to approach me several times. Andrea, please, let me explain. It started as a mistake, and then it got too complicated to fix. Too complicated to fix? I stared at him. The fix was to get a divorce before proposing to someone else. That's the fix. That's the normal, legal, ethical fix. I couldn't afford a divorce. Nicole wanted too much in the settlement. So you decided to just stay married and start a second family? That was your solution? He had no answer for that. The police arrived. 2 officers, looking confused about being called to a wedding venue. My dad explained the situation. They talked to me, to Ethan, got Nicole's contact information to verify his marital status. Mr. Walsh, we're going to need you to come to the station. Attempted bigamy is a felony in Massachusetts. I wasn't actually going to go through with it, Ethan started. You were 10 minutes away from saying I do when this came out. That's pretty clear intent. We need to sort this out downtown. They handcuffed him right there in the garden, read him his rights while 200 wedding guests watched in stunned silence, walked him past the cake table, past the gift table piled with wrapped boxes, past the altar where we were supposed to have been married. As they put him in the police car, he looked back at me. Andrea, I'm sorry. I really did love you. I do love you. You don't love anyone. You're not capable of it. They drove away. The garden was silent, except for some people whispering. My mom was crying. My dad was holding her. Sarah had her arm around me. My wedding planner approached cautiously. Andrea, I'm so sorry. What would you like us to do about everything? I looked around. The venue was decorated beautifully. Flowers everywhere, lights strung up, tables set for dinner. The caterers were standing, uncertainly. The photographer had captured everything, probably the most dramatic wedding that never happened. Tell the caterers to serve the food, I said. Tell the bartenders to keep the bar open. Everyone's already here, dinner's already paid for. Might as well eat. Are you sure? I'm sure. This day is already a disaster. At least people can have a good meal. So that's what we did. Converted my almost wedding to the world's most awkward dinner party. Some guests left, but most stayed. The mood was surreal. People eating prime rib and drinking wine while discussing the fact that the groom had just been arrested for attempted bigamy. My uncle made a toast to Andrea, who just dodged the biggest bullet of her life. People laughed, raised glasses. I even managed to smile. Sarah pulled me aside. Are you okay? Stupid question, but are you okay? I don't know. Ask me in a week, or a year, or never. For what it's worth, you handled that like a badass. Most people would have collapsed. You called his wife and got him arrested. I'm pretty sure I'm in shock. The breakdown is coming. I can feel it, but not yet. Well, when it comes, I'll be there with wine and ice cream. The party, I couldn't call it a reception, went until about 8. Then people started leaving, giving me hugs, telling me I deserved better, asking if I needed anything. By 9, it was just me, my family, and my closest friends. We sat in the empty ballroom, eating leftover cake that said Andrea and Ethan forever, and drinking the expensive wine that was supposed to celebrate my marriage. What happens now? Emma, my younger sister, asked. Now, I cancel a honeymoon, return gifts, figure out what to do with a wedding dress, find a therapist, maybe change my name even though I never took his, just to feel like I'm starting completely fresh. And Ethan? Ethan's probably getting booked for attempted bigamy. He'll go to court, probably plead out, might get probation since he didn't actually complete the second marriage. Nicole will definitely divorce him now. He'll lose both of us. Good. My dad spoke up. I called the venue. They're refunding funding except the food and drinks since those were consumed. The caterer's cutting us a break too. You'll get most of the money back. Money that was supposed to pay for a wedding. Now it's just severance pay for ending a relationship built on lies. We sat there for a while longer, not really talking, just being together. Eventually, my parents drove me home, not to the apartment I'd shared with Ethan, but to their house. I couldn't face going back to our place yet, didn't want to see his stuff, didn't want to deal with untangling our lives. That night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I finally let myself break down, cried for the relationship I thought I had, for 4 years of my life spent with someone who was living a complete double life, for the future I'd imagined that was never real, for the humiliation of having your wedding implode in front of 200 people. But somewhere under the grief and anger, there was relief. Relief that I found out before we actually got married. Relief that a drunk best man's joke saved me from committing to a man who was already committed to someone else. Relief that I didn't become Nicole, stuck in a marriage with a man who was always half gone, now understanding why. I called Nicole the next day. It was awkward at first, 2 women who'd been unknowingly sharing a man, trying to figure out how to talk to each other. I filed for divorce this morning, she told me. Emergency filing. My lawyer says I have grounds for abandonment, adultery, fraud. I'm taking him for everything. Good, you should. I'm sorry about your wedding. I'm sorry about your marriage. We talked for an hour. Compared notes on Ethan's lies, his patterns, the ways he'd kept his double life going. She'd thought his job required constant travel. I'd thought he was fully committed to building a life in Boston. Neither of us had the full picture, because he'd made sure we never would. How did he think this would end? Nicole asked. Did he think he could just be married to both of us forever? I honestly don't think he thought past the next day. He was just keeping plates spinning, hoping nothing fell. Well, everything fell now. The legal aftermath took months. Ethan was charged with attempted bigamy, pled guilty, got 2 years probation and a hefty fine. Nicole's divorce went through fast. No judge was going to be sympathetic to a man caught attempting to marry someone else. She got primary custody of Jake, child support, and a chunk of Ethan's assets. I had to return or donate most of the wedding gifts, had to cancel vendors and explain why, had to deal with questions from coworkers and friends who'd been at the wedding. The story spread. It was too wild not to. For a while, I was that girl whose wedding blew up because the groom was already married. But eventually, the story faded. People moved on to other drama. My life slowly returned to something resembling normal. I threw myself into work, got promoted, started therapy to process everything, went on a solo trip to Ireland with the honeymoon money, figured I might as well see the places we'd planned to visit, just without the bigamist. It's been 2 years now. I'm 35, single, and genuinely okay with it. Better than okay. I'm dating casually, not rushing into anything, taking my time to really know people before trusting them with my heart. Sarah jokes that I should write a book about red flags in relationships. You could call it Warning Signs I Ignored, a guide. Chapter 1. If he's weirdly protective of his phone, there's a reason. Chapter 2. If he has 0 social media presence, he's hiding something. Chapter 3. If his family situation seems vague and complicated, investigate. We laugh about it now, but those lessons are real. I ignored my gut so many times with Ethan. Little things that felt off, but then I rationalized away because I wanted the relationship to be real. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Marcus hadn't gotten drunk, if he hadn't made that joke about the other family. Would Ethan have gone through with marrying me? Would we have gotten to the I do part before someone objected? And then what? A marriage that was illegal from the start. Eventually, it would have come out, these things always do, but by then, I might have been even more entangled, might have had kids with him, might have wasted more years. So, in a weird way, I'm grateful to drunk Marcus. He saved me from a mistake that would have been so much worse than a ruined wedding. I saw Ethan once, about 6 months ago, ran into him at a coffee shop downtown. He looked terrible, tired, older, defeated. He tried to apologize again, said he'd been going to therapy, working on himself, knew he'd destroyed everything. I listened, then I said, I hope you figure out who you actually are, Ethan, because the person I was with for 4 years, he never existed. That was just a character you played. He nodded. I know. I'm sorry. Me too. That was it. I got my coffee and left. Didn't look back. My name is Andrea Thornton. I'm 35 years old. I almost married a man who was already married. My wedding day ended with him in handcuffs and me in my childhood bedroom eating leftover cake and wondering how I'd missed so many signs. But I survived. More than survived. I'm actually happy now. Building a life that's real, surrounding myself with people who are genuine, learning to trust my instincts instead of ignoring them. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever get married. I don't know. Maybe. If I meet someone who's actually single, actually honest, actually present. Someone whose best man won't drunkenly reveal a secret family in another state. But if I do, I'm doing a background check first. Maybe hiring a private investigator. Definitely calling any ex-wives to confirm the divorce is finalized. You might think I'm joking. I'm not. Once you've had your wedding imploded by discovering your fiancé is a bigamist, you learn to verify everything. Trust, but verify. Especially verify.